everybody, Elizabeth here with Country Peony, like the flower. And today we are going to be making a really fun and festive fall wreath using Miss Mustard Seeds milk paint and some corn husk. And the wreath is actually right behind me. So I really love how whimsical and fun and festive this turned out. And today I'm going to take you through the whole process. So before we get started, I wanted to thank Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint for having me. It has been a couple of months since I've been here, and I always have so much fun doing this because I love Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint. So I am a craft blogger, and I love using Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint for my crafting projects, and I also love using it, obviously, to paint with furniture. But Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint is great because it's a wonderful transitional paint product that allows you to use it with your crafting projects, with your furniture pieces, and all kinds of really wonderful things. So let's get started. So today we are going to need, first off, you're going to need your base for your wreath, and I love using a straw wreath base. You can purchase these at your local craft store, your local big box store, wherever. And then you will obviously need Miss Mustard Seeds milk paint. And today's colors are Tangerine is this fun orange, which is perfect for fall. And it used to be called Outback Petticoat, but it's now called Tangerine. This is Mustard Seed Yellow. And then just for fun, I thought I'd throw in a green, and Lucketts green it is. And you may wonder, okay, how did I come up with this color scheme? So if you look behind me, you can see I've got my fun fall pumpkins. And I love this pumpkin that has green and orange in it. And then obviously I love the greens and the whites. And so that's how I came up with today's color scheme. And I wanted to mention that because when I come up with my crafting projects, I always find an inspiration piece first, and fall pumpkins are perfect for that. So the beauty with this project is that you can customize it to whatever colors that you want, and you can just have fun, and it'll fit your home decor and your color scheme. So let's get started. I wanted to mention the corn husk. So I did purchase mine off of Amazon, and it came in a bag like this. This is a 1 pound bag. Now, this bag is really large. You don't need to use this whole bag. Honestly, I only used about a quarter, maybe, for this wreath behind me. But you can also find this at your local grocery store, again, your craft store, or your big box store. So before we get started assembling, I wanted to highlight Miss Mustard Seeds milk paint and how to mix the milk paint together. So we are going to use Lucketts green to get started. And for my crafting projects, one thing I do recommend is always starting off smaller and then adding more as you go along, because you don't want to waste the paint. Now, if you use a mason jar to mix it, then you can always cover it and put it in the fridge, and it'll last there a couple of days. But you can always add more paint as you go along. You can always mix more as you go along. And so for my crafting projects, I normally start off with 1 tablespoon of water to 1 tablespoon of milk paint. And that normally gets me through most of my projects. Now, again, I can add more if I need it, but that way I'm not wasteful. And so for this particular project, we are just doing the 1-to-1 ratio. But again, the beauty of Miss Mustard Seeds milk paint is just how versatile it is. So if you want your corn husk to be the original color to peek through a little bit more, you can add more water, so it's more of a stain than the paint. And I will try to read your comments as they come in, but Miss Mustard Seeds milk paint is also on this live, and so they can answer any questions you have. And I'm happy after this to go look at the feed and answer any questions. So please ask away. Let me know where you're from. I'd love to hear where you're coming from this gorgeous fall morning. So I just added 1 tablespoon of water and 1 tablespoon of Miss Mustard Seeds milk paint in Lucketts green. And I like to use my trusted a mug. I have a dedicated mug or a couple to mix the paint. and I have this wonderful whisk. As you can see, it's got this gorgeous, all these wonderful paint colors on it already. But you can use whatever you have on hand. You can use a fork to mix it together. You can use a dedicated mixer. You can use basically whatever you have. And the consistency that you're gonna want is, it's drippy, almost like pancake batter. So this is perfect for what we need today. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're going to separate the corn husk from the batch. So they're gonna look like this, and you choose a side. They look the same except one side is bent to fit the corn husk. It really doesn't matter because, as you can see, we separate them and cut them anyway. So you're gonna pick a side, and then for this project, I like to use a craft paintbrush. It's just a lot easier to use than a 1-inch or a 2-inch brush that you would use if you were painting furniture. And make sure that you get any excess off on here, and then you just start painting. And the really fun thing with this project that I noticed when I was creating it is that the corn husk obviously has these gorgeous ridges and this really beautiful texture. Well, Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint adds to that really fun texture. And you'll see, and then as it cracks, there's a little bit of cracking that goes on because it's milk paint, and it is just gorgeous once it completely dries. So you're just gonna paint it all the way on the entire corn husk. And the beauty with this too, it doesn't have to be perfect. Actually, it's much more beautiful if it's not perfect, because I like that the corn husk kind of seeps through a little bit, and it makes for a much more fun and textured final product. So you're just gonna keep applying it to the entire corn husk. And don't worry if you make a bit of a mess. I always like to keep a wet towel nearby. That's enough to clean it up. And Chris just mentioned that there will be a blog post on Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint coming later. So if you miss anything today, don't worry, because it's gonna be on their blog with all of the fun details. Okay, so that should be enough. And I kind of wanted to show you just how fun this is because of the texture that we've got in here. You can see, so some of the natural texture from the corn husk is allowing the paint to kind of seep in and not seep in. And then some areas where I added a little bit more coverage. It's just really fun. And then once it dries, it's gonna be beautiful. Okay, so we did one. And then what I would recommend is painting all of the corn husk first, doing all the 3 different colors. I already mixed my tangerine and my mustard seed yellow, and then letting them dry. I recommend anywhere from 30 minutes, really possibly an hour, because you want it completely dry before you start assembling the wreath. Because it could just be a mess if you don't wait. So since y'all don't want to be sitting here all morning watching me paint, I don't know, maybe you do, but I figured you had better things. I already painted some of the corn husk that are already dry. And when they're fully dry, they're this really, really fun texture. And so it'll make for a really cool wreath. Okay, so from here, we are actually going to separate the pieces, because if you were to put the corn husk on the wreath like this, it's a bit excessive. Now you certainly can do that, but I wouldn't recommend it. So what I did is I cut up the corn husk. And so the way that I did that, you can either use a scissor or you can just tear it down the middle, and it cuts so easily, just like that. And then to get a better size, I cut it at an angle. From here, you're just gonna go up at an angle like so. And so you have 2 separate pieces, And you can cut it across flat. You can do it at an angle like I did. I did that so you could have some nice peaks here, some added texture and interest that I think makes the wreath really fun. It's completely up to you. So I'm gonna cut the other side, and then you're gonna get 4 pieces out of that one corn husk. And so these, like I said, these corn husks go a really long way because we're really using them. So you can make a whole bunch of wreaths for yourself, for friends. It'd be really fun for your Thanksgiving table. And then the yellow shows up just beautifully as well. So I'm going to cut a couple more of these. Again, you just tear it down the middle and it tears so nicely. And then you're gonna cut it this way so that you've got a nice peak. And then you can use this top, you can use this top, whatever, as you're creating. And then setting all of these aside so you have easy access. And I do recommend when you set them aside to put them in different colors, because you're going to, when you're assembling your wreath, you're going to do it in a pattern, as you can see behind me, and it just makes it a little bit easier as you make your wreath. Okay, so last one. We've got our mustard seed yellow. And it doesn't matter if the sizes are not exactly the same, because again, that adds beautiful texture and interest. And it makes it one of a kind, which is what this is. It's custom and fun. Okay, so here's your yellow. And then just for more colors, I thought it would be great to do the corn husk itself. So we're gonna cut this one up as well. Okay, so now that you've got all of your corn husk cut, separated into different colors to make the assembly process, then we can get started on making the actual wreath. Thank you, Annie. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, I make a lot of wreaths. Honestly, wreaths are one of my favorite things to make because number one, they're really expensive in stores, and number two, they're really, really simple to make. And you can customize it to whatever colors you want. And it's fun. They're just so much fun to make. And they're such a fun statement piece. So when people come over, you can hang them on the door, hang them on your baker's cabinet like I have. And okay, so we are going to add a wreath hanger, because that's one thing. When I first started crafting, I would always forget about the wreath hanger. Well, that's something you should think about first, because most of the time you want to hide it. And so I'm just going to use raffia because it matches the tangerine really well. But you can use a ribbon, you can use yarn, you can use a string, anything that will just hold well when you pull on it. So what I like to do is I like to create a knot at the top first. So I'm just going to do a knot so you have a nice little loop. And don't make the knot too big, because this is what's going to hang behind the wreath and you don't want it to be visible when the wreath's hanging. So just enough for you to put a wreath hanger on there, or to put it on a knob, or however you want to hang it. Okay, so you've got your knot. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to attach it to the wreath. You're going to double knot it onto the wreath. And yes, Annie, I painted a milk paint with corn husk onto corn husk. And yes, you can use milk paint to paint so many amazing things. I'm a craft blogger, and so I just love adding it to all of my craft projects because it adds such a fun texture and patina to your final project. Okay, so I just double knotted it onto the wreath. And so now you have a nice little hanger. And excuse the straw wreath, it was coming apart a bit, but that's okay, we can still work with it. And I will mention, Miss Mustard Seed's milk paint is not messy, but working with straw wreaths is. So I would recommend finding a spot in your house that you can easily clean up after. So not on carpet. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna start assembling the wreath. I've got my handy dandy hot glue gun. I've got a wireless hot glue gun here. And we are going to decide on a pattern. It doesn't matter what pattern you want to use. I like to do a pattern just so that the colors are evenly dispersed throughout your wreath, but it's completely up to you. So once you decide on a pattern, you just get your corn husks together, and what you can do is, I like to start at the top too so that it's a nice starting point, as you can see here. And we're going to start with yellow, mustard seed yellow, and I want the first piece to have a flat top. And we are just going to attach it directly onto the straw wreath about 3/4 of the way down. So not all the way down. So we're just going to attach it right here. And we're going to do that with hot glue. So we just use the hot glue and attach it. So my hot glue is not wanting to get hot on me this morning. But I can still explain the process to you. It was just working a little while ago, I promise. And obviously it does work because that's what I use this for. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're just gonna attach the hot glue or any kind of glue you have. And then you are slowly going to layer the next piece on top, as you can see. And then let's do the orange. Okay, and for this one, I want to go up with it because it needs to have some nice interest, as you can see. So you've got a flat one. So let's do a pointy or a diagonal one next. And then our last one that we're going to do is the natural color. So you will just slowly start to add one on top of the other. And so then you will continue to create your pattern throughout. See if it's working now. Okay, so let me see if I can attach it. Okay, you know, it's not wanting to work for me, but that's okay. So once you attach it onto the wreath, you're gonna have the wreath on there, okay? So you've got this piece right here that is showing. So it's very important when you're making wreaths to make sure the interior of your wreath is covered because people see that, right? So this is very, very visible. So what you're gonna do, hi Kathy, what you're gonna do is you are going to cover that up, we are then going to come with a second corn husk and we're gonna attach hot glue to the inner part and then attach it that way. So you've got full coverage from the inner part to the outer part. So, and then you're going to continue that all the way around. And so let me show you to give you a better idea of the finished wreath that I did. So we've got, at first I put these top layers down, and then the next layer, as you can see, I attached it to the inside of the wreath. I wrapped it over, and that's how I attached it. Now, one point I want to make is when you are hot gluing, do not hot glue the corn husk all the way down. You want to have some of the corn husk still peeking up so that it adds that fun movement, as you can see here, and that's how it works. And Annie, I got the corn husk on Amazon. You can find them at your local craft store, your grocery store, wherever. And so that's how you attach it to that. And see, I've got this handy wreath hanger that I put on here already, so it makes it really easy to put back. So for my wreath, I did not cover the sides, and that's why I suggest using a straw wreath. If you really want full coverage, you can first, before you start, you can put the corn husk all the way around. I don't think that's necessary because I kind of like the straw peeking through. I think it adds to the fun fall effect. And so that is essentially all it is. Okay, it's working now. So let me just make a couple of, so I can show you how the corn husks work. And so, yes, you can use Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint on so many different things. And they have amazing products they have that allows you to adhere to all kinds of things, even plastic. So if you go back to my blog, countrypeony.com, you can see that I painted plastic pumpkins. I've painted a lot of different things with milk paint. So it's not just for furniture. Okay, so you can see, because you're being so patient, so thank you. You can see I've got this one and then I overlapped this one on top of it. Okay, now I'm just gonna do a couple more just so you can see how the process works after me explaining it. And Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint has got some really fun things in the works. So definitely keep your eye open on their Facebook page and that way you can see all of the fun products coming out. So you can see, and I love the height that this gives. I think that difference in the different heights of the different corn husks and the tops is really fun. Okay, just to show you how to wrap it around the bottom. And as you can see, I'm making a real mess here, but that's okay. So when you attach this, I do recommend, I mentioned having a pattern. I recommend having a pattern on the bottom too, but do not match up your yellows to your yellows or oranges to your oranges because then it's gonna create a real flat effect. You can see here, I've got a pattern, but the pattern's different from the interior to the exterior. So what we're gonna do here is then we're just going to hot glue this part right here, the bottom half, and then you're going to come here and you're going to go to the interior, make sure that it's fully attached to it, and then you're going to add the hot glue to the top part, so directly on top of your corn husk, as you can see here. And so I recommend doing the top part around first all the way, and then doing this bottom part around. So you want to have this top part completely complete before you start on the inner part. So not how I did it today, but I just did that so I could show you the process. So once you completely, and see this one's fun because when I cut it like that, and that really adds a fun dimension and interest. And if you really wanted to, so Miss Mustard Seed has really fun waxes. You could add a wax to this once it's completely dry to even give it even more interest. I did not do that, but it's really just a project that you can just take a fun fall afternoon and put on a really good movie and just have a great time with it. And I like using this as a wreath to hang on my baker's cabinet, as you can see behind me, but this could be a beautiful centerpiece if you just put it on the table. You could put a pumpkin in it, you can put candlesticks or whatever inside it, just because the inside is so pretty. So you can see it starting to take shape. So you do your top first, and then you do your inner part. So again, for this project, I use Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint in Lucketts Green, in Tangerine, and in mustard seed yellow. And then I also use the natural corn husk color. And I grabbed my inspiration for the colors from my pumpkins that you can see behind me. The beautiful oranges, greens, and yellows that are really present this time of year. So all the details are coming to Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint blog. So stay tuned for that. And I really hope you enjoy making your own. I'd love to see if you make your own, what colors you use, how you cut your corn husk, and just how you attach it. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. Again, my name's Elizabeth, and I'm with Country Peony, which is a DIY and craft blog. Thank you to Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint for having me today, and I hope you feel inspired to start using Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint in more of your crafting projects because it's so much fun and adds just a gorgeous warmth and patina to all of your projects. So until next time, I hope you have a beautiful Thanksgiving and a wonderful fall. Thank you guys.